Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of College Football Takeover. It's ACC Tuesday. A lot to talk about because 4 ACC teams play in Week 0. So 4 ACC teams are going to make their premiere for the season, But this is the first ACC Tuesday, college football edition in forever. But before we dive into all that, let's get to the trivia question of the day. The category is notable coaches. How many Cardinals coaches are in the Hall of Fame? A1, B3, C4. Oh my goodness, voice crack there. D6 or E8. I will repeat the question. The category is notable coaches. How many Cardinals coaches are in the Hall of Fame? A1, B3, C4, D6, or E8. Put your answer in the comments. I'll answer that at the end of the episode. Sorry, I'm just cracking up about that voice crack. I don't know why. But, today's football birthdays are Cornelius Bennett, Marvin Harrison, Charlie Sanders, and Ralph Baker, So happy birthday to the gentlemen. Those are your football birthdays and your football trivia question for Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. Maulid and Nabi begins at sundown. So, the ACC has 4 teams playing. Obviously, Chapel Hill and North Carolina, they play TCU in the debut game. But then there's an ACC showdown in NC State, Virginia, which, given how crazy the ACC was last year, that could have a big impact on the rest of the year. I'm pretty sure it's a conference game, unlike last year, because it was like week 2 or something. And then Florida State plays. Could that be tricky? Who knows? But let's just talk about all of the teams. NC State, CJ Bailey, fresh off of a fantastic year for them. I don't even really remember him, but I've heard that he was great last year. So you've got him returning. He, in total, out 31 touchdowns, 3,600 yards or something. And NC State, the toughest game on their schedule is Louisville. So I've heard. I didn't check their schedule, but so I've heard. So they avoid Miami. They avoid SMU. So David Pollack was saying, hey, this team is a dark horse, and I'm seeing that too. If CJ Bailey's a great quarterback and Louisville is their toughest game, Louisville's going to be a scary team. I'm not saying Louisville's going to be trash, but let's say they jump that game and win everything else, they're in a good place. But Dave Doran's kind of on the hot seat. He's been there a while. They've always been a top 25 caliber team, it seems like, but lately, maybe less so. So NC State's going to be a sneaky team to watch out for this year. People are throwing them into the dark horse spot. I did a post. Best quarterback in the ACC is, and CJ Bailey was one of the 4 options. Go check out that post and vote, please. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, they're a dark horse, but now going from maybe a dark horse contender to a dumpster fire team, the Florida State Seminoles. Like I said, they play in Week 0. They play New Mexico State. It's in Tallahassee. Going to be fun to see Tallahassee potentially bumping. And Mike Norvell, everyone's saying, if you're naming a hot seat head football coach, you are naming Mike Norvell. If you're talking hot seat coaches. What if New Mexico just, goes in there and stuns them? Where do you go from there? Florida State, with Mike Norvell? If New Mexico State goes into Tallahassee and stuns the college football nation, I can see that, not really, but somewhat. What if you go in there and you just stun college football? What if it happens? You don't know. Things are bad for Mike Norvell. He's had 2 good years. They're looking to have a 3rd good year. It's going to be interesting to see. Louisville. I'm going down to Nissan Stadium and seeing their first game. It's going to be fun. Massive test. That's in a week and a half, folks. I am pumped for that game on a Sunday. Labor Day weekend. It's going to be great. I'm pumped to go down there. I'm not going down to Louisville. It's in Nashville, but still. Lincoln Knietzel is going to be their quarterback. He was a backup at Ohio State. I think he might have been their quarterback against Missouri when they lost that game. But yes, he never fully started out at Ohio State. But if you have an Ohio State quarterback, you know he was probably good or has a lot of potential. But they start out with a monster game, neutral site, 9th ranked Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss. But Jeff Brom, we know he can pull off upsets. He's beaten Notre Dame and Miami. they're a sneaky upset team, and Ole Miss, yeah, Pete Golden's coached 3 games. They're all 3 college football playoff games, winning 2 of them, almost winning the 3rd one. But that was him just kind of keeping the team afloat. It was still Kiffin's team. Now it's his team, so could be a sneaky potential upset opportunity for Louisville. Boston College, they went winless in ACC play last year. This probably Bill O'Brien's last year. It was just a dumpster fire. Don't really expect anything much better from them. Now the team that is heavily favored to win the ACC, Miami of Florida. So Miami. Not Miami of Ohio. Miami. If there was any slip up, I don't know why there would be, but just in case there was. I think Miami's better. Mark Fletcher Jr. was a fantastic running back. Carried them to that Texas A&M win. Oh, he's back. Malachi Toney, fantastic freshman year. Probably better in his sophomore year. I mean, right? I mean, maybe not. You can't always assume they're going to be better next year. I think Josh Pate said that. So you can't assume that, but that's probably going to be the case. And you bring in, no offense to Carson Beck, but Carson Beck was kind of a game manager. Bringing Darian Mensah, Miami, their problem is not being able to win the ACC. I get it. They probably should not have won the ACC, but they bring in the quarterback who just won the ACC. So if Miami's having ACC championship problems, you absolutely go to the star quarterback who just won the ACC in Darian Mensah. Duke may have lost 5 games, maybe 6. I think they lost in the bowl game. But Mensah was not necessarily the reason. Bringing him into Miami, throwing to Malachi Toney, handing it off to Mark Fletcher. It gets scary, folks. I don't know why Mario Cristobal's always able to land the big transfer quarterbacks. Cam Ward, Carson Beck, Darian Mensah. But Miami, I think people are underhyping them. Personally, I think they're going to be incredible. I think they can go into Notre Dame and win. I am high on them. Wake Forest, they improved last year. I think won 8 games, or something. I don't know how long their coach, well, their one coach retired, and then didn't their coach go to Washington? No, I don't know what's going on. But they were great with Sam Hartman. But that was back in the day, folks. People don't care about Sam Hartman. And I don't really know much about Wake Forest, but I don't know who their coach is. I think their coach retired, who was in the Sam Hartman era. But they were solid last year. They were doing a solid job. Look to keep that up. Virginia Tech. I had Virginia Tech as a dark horse. I made a short saying Virginia Tech dark horse. In my top 10 coaches, James Franklin at number 10. That is who I had. That kind of stirred up some controversy. 2 people commented and said, really? Seriously, what are we doing? But they bring in Ethan Grunkemeyer, former Penn State backup. He was their backup last year, so that's a big deal. Schedule is pretty favorable. At Miami, they play SMU. But again, as long as if you're in the ACC, which is in my opinion the worst Power 4 conference, you're going to have a pretty favorable draw. So it gets interesting with Virginia Tech. We shall see what happens with them. I'm high. James Franklin coming in, bringing in a good recruiting class. The classic Enter Sandman days can return. Georgia Tech last year started out 8-0, fell off, didn't make the ACC championship, lost to the rival Georgia 9-3, 9-4 counting bowl game because I think they lost their bowl game. And now Haynes King. He was a great quarterback for Georgia Tech for as long as I can remember. I think he might have been their starter all 5 years I've been following college football. Maybe. But he's gone. But Brent Key's a great coach. I mentioned if Jeff Brown can pull off upsets, Brent Key can pull off upsets. He's almost upset Georgia. He's upset Miami when they had Cam Ward. Yes, that upset aged so horribly, but they upset Florida State in week 0 and Dublin 2 years back. Yeah, Florida State finished 2-10, but still, they did it. So I think as long as Brent Key's there, you're in a solid spot. Losing Haynes King stinks. I forgot. I just remember this. They bring in Alberto Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza's little brother. I get it. You're that doesn't really matter. But he's his little brother, meaning and he was at Indiana last year, so he has similar genetics as the number 1 overall pick, Heisman Trophy national championship winner. He's got a mentor behind him. He was on Indiana last year, so he got to learn from him. And he got coached by Kurt Signetti. You got to believe, and now getting Brent Key, 2 great coaches. Maybe he could be sneaky good. SMU, great team. They start out scary. At Florida State on Labor Day in week 1, and then they play Louisville in week 3. Don't know if that's on the road at home. They also have to go to Notre Dame. I don't think they play Miami. I lean towards 11-1. Only losing at Notre Dame, 9-0. Kevin Jennings, he's back. You gotta lean, college football playoff for SMU. I'm feeling college football playoff. Folks, for the SMU Mustangs, that's what I'm feeling. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling college football playoff for SMU. Because they made it. First year of the 12-team playoff, first year in the ACC, and next year, if California does not upset them, they reach the ACC championship game and potentially win it. I am just saying, Rhett Lashley's a fantastic coach. Kevin Jennings back. He's a dark horse Heisman. You gotta believe. Syracuse, no more Stephen Jelly. It was a dumpster fire last year. They lost 70-7 against Notre Dame, folks. They were down 21-0 against Notre Dame last year before Notre Dame's offense even took the field. But they got off to a 3-1 start, beating Clemson. But Stephen Jelly tore his Achilles in that game. He's gone, though. So I don't know where to go. Fran Brown, 3-1 start when he had his starter in Stephen Jelly. He was great the year prior with Kyle McCord, so maybe you gotta believe that maybe something is a-brewing at Syracuse. Next up, Chapel Bill. Still find it hilarious. The debut game of the college football season is North Carolina playing TCU, involving Chapel Bill. And to be entirely honest with you, Bill Belichick has to go. I think almost everyone's in agreement about that. Whether he resigns, gets fired, we don't know. They went 4-8 last year. It is a dumpster fire. This is just kind of a season no one should get excited for with North Carolina. Hey, maybe Bill Belichick learned his lesson and is now going to be able to coach good college football. I wouldn't lean that way, so there you go there. Stanford, first-year coach because they had an interim last year in Frank Reich for the entire year because they had to fire Troy Taylor right before the year started. They bring in a coach, can't remember his name, something Pritchard, I think. Maybe he can fix things. Year 1, though, Stanford hasn't been good in forever since Jim Harbaugh was there. So don't expect anything huge there. Virginia almost won the ACC last year, lost in overtime. But Tony Elliott's still feeling good vibes. They lost their quarterback, but Bo Prabula comes in, another Penn State backup, former in the ACC. But he played for Missouri last year. He got hurt. He was solid for them. So sneaky good vibes going on at Virginia. Maybe they can get back to that level and be a sneaky team again. Clemson, like I said, maybe Dabo will come out angry. They'll beat LSU. They'll be on fire. They don't have a hyped-up roster, but we all know what happened last year when they did have a hyped-up roster. So maybe not having a hyped-up roster, not being in the preseason top 25, will be good for them and light a fuel in them and be like, okay, we're the dark horse now. Let's go out and stun college football. Maybe the expectations were too high. But that was an experienced group with a coach going into his 18th season, so I don't know why that would be the case. But maybe Clemson can be sneaky good. Pittsburgh. That was last year, right? That they were 8-1, or was that 2 years ago where game day came to Pitt and they just got smoked? That was last year, I think. They were, I'm not sure. Tell me in the comments. But yeah, Pat Narduzzi's a good coach. I like Pat Narduzzi. I think he can build. He's won an ACC championship when Kenny Pickett was there. So you got to believe in Pittsburgh. As long as Pat Narduzzi's there, they'll be good. Duke. Pretty shocked that in just year 2, Manny Diaz was winning an ACC championship there. But I heard in a video that I got depleted. I knew about the Darian Mensah loss, which was automatically gonna make me less hyped. No Darian Mensah. If Darian Mensah was back, I'd be saying sneaky ACC team. But there's no Darian Mensah, and they were a team that probably should not have even won the ACC championship, finishing 7-5 in the regular season. I think 8-6 because I think they lost their bowl game, but if not 9-5 overall, still pretty stunning. Manny Diaz has done a good job, but without Mensah, I don't know what to expect there. Last but not least, California bringing in Tosh Lupoi as their head coach, Oregon defensive coordinator. Josh Pate has them as a dark horse. Like I said in my who is the best quarterback in the ACC, I had California's quarterback. I heard he had a good freshman year. Going into his sophomore year, he should be better. I didn't even know who he was. I can't pronounce the name. It's like Dron something. But yeah, Josh Pate is a dark horse. I trust Josh Pate. I don't know if I'd say dark horse. I mean, I can feel that maybe they'll be good. They apparently have a really good quarterback who I didn't even know existed. But maybe they can be sneaky good. Who knows there? In their third year in the ACC. That's it for this episode of ACC Tuesday. But before we fully wrap it up, let's get to the trivia question of the day. The category is notable coaches. How many Cardinals coaches are in the Hall of Fame? Is it A1, B3, C4, D6, or E8? The answer to the trivia question is E. 8. Wow. 8 Hall of Famers coached the Cardinals. All of them prior to the franchise move to Arizona. Patty Driscoll, Jimmy Consolman, Ernie Nevers, Larry Wilson, Curly Limbo, Guy Chamberlain, Joe Stidehar, and Don Coryell. Kind of cool. One of their names is Guy. But yeah, that is the answer to your trivia question for Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. But that is it for this episode of College Football Takeover and ACC Tuesday. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time tomorrow for Big Ten Wednesday. Until then, stay safe and peace.